What's up, alphas? So one of the most common questions that I see in my inbox is, should I renew my listings after they sell out or expire, or should I just relist the product? A lot of alphas also ask me if I have a pre-existing listing that has sold out, or I've just gotten rid of that product, can I just replace my photos and my description and add a new product into a listing that I already have active under a product that has sold out in maybe the last few days? So there are two factors that we need to consider here. For one, we need to consider Etsy, and for two, we need to consider our buyers who are engaging with these listings. So first thing, let's go ahead and cover renewals versus relisting. If you have the exact same product and you've sold out of it, or maybe you have let that listing expire because maybe it hasn't sold, in a while, you might be curious as to whether it's better to renew that listing and add more quantity to it, or to relist that item, creating a new listing. So scenario one is, we'll assume that you've sold out of your listing. So if that listing is sold out, especially if you've had multiple quantities that have sold out from that singular listing, Etsy has already built a great quality score for that listing. The quality score is a special invisible score that we unfortunately can't see, but Etsy gives this score to us based on how users interact with our listings after they click on it, whether they favorite it or whether they buy it. If one of your listings that already has a great quality score sells out, and then rather than renewing it, you just relist it, that quality score does not carry over onto a new listing. Basically, you have just forfeit your quality score that you've accumulated by making sales, getting favorites, getting clicks and engagement, and getting positive reviews. So in this scenario, no, it is not a good idea to relist that item. If this is an item that you plan to bring back to your shop, you want to renew the item that has sold out, because if people are buying it, it probably means that you've got some great SEO going on. Shoppers are really into what it is that you've listed, and you don't want to change anything because you probably already have a great quality score for that listing, even though it has sold out. Now, here's where the shift is. If you have a listing that you created maybe a few months ago, and it just happens that it hasn't had any sales and it hasn't renewed organically from a sale and it has expired, this is the occasion where you might want to consider relisting that item under a new listing, and maybe start to think about the things that you could do to improve that listing. If that listing didn't already have a quality score from people engaging with the listing and purchasing it, it means that you might want to check on things like your photos and your SEO and even your pricing. This is one of the occasions where it would be appropriate to relist that listing rather than renew it. Now, there's one more thing that I should note, and if you join us live during our Friday live streams, you've probably heard this a million times before, but I'm going to say it again. Way back when, Etsy sellers used to go into the back end of their shop and select all of their listings and click renew every single day. Now, the reason that we did this made sense at the time. Obviously, new listings can't have a quality score on Etsy, so it's not fair that brand new listings get pushed all the way back into the back of search, right? They wouldn't stand a chance. Instead, with new listings, Etsy gives those listings a slight boost in the marketplace. This boost allows Etsy to see how shoppers will engage with that listing. How many people are clicking on it? How many people are favoriting it? How long are they hanging out on the page? Did that click lead to a purchase from that shopper? After the span of a few weeks or a few days, Etsy is able to kind of gather some data on how people interact with that listing and assign a quality score to that listing. But a few years ago, what sellers used to do was select all of their listings in the back end of their shop, and they'd click renew, and they would pay 20 cents per listing, which I imagine probably got expensive. They would pay 20 cents per listing every single day. That way they would benefit from that little boost. And Etsy caught on to that. Think of it like this. If Etsy sees that you're renewing your listings every single day and people still aren't engaging with them, people still aren't favoriting them, people still aren't clicking on them, and people still aren't buying them, Etsy's gonna assume that your listings are really crappy. This is a great way to land yourself permanently way back in search. And this is not something that you want for your entire shop. Not only will this affect your listing quality score, it will also negatively impact your customer and market experience score. This is the sum total of your entire shop. Etsy looks at things like sketchy behavior and bad reviews and cases that are opened against you. A bad customer and market experience score can count against you in search and could eventually end up getting your shop taken down, which is obviously not something that any of us want. So when it comes to renewing versus relisting, renew if your product is selling well, if it's selling out, and if people have engaged positively with that listing in the past. And you can relist if you're dealing with a product that isn't doing really well and it hasn't been doing very well for a while and has reached its point of expiration. Now, the last thing I want to point out is if you have a listing that has done really well in the past and it's got a good market experience score and a lot of people have purchased that listing and you've run out of that product and you can't make it anymore, you might be impulsed to take that listing that you've already paid for, remove all of the current photos of the product that you no longer have, and replace those photos with new photos of a different product. Now, technically, your listing quality score will most likely carry over to the new listing, but there's a big downside to that. Have you ever gone into your Etsy favorites and looked at all of the items that you favorited from other sellers, but something doesn't seem quite right? Every once in a while, I'll go into my favorites and I'll notice that there are items in there that I definitely did not favorite. Sometimes this kind of makes me upset. In fact, one time I was trying to record a video for the alphas and I had a bunch of different jewelry and random items favorited. And then there was a type of jewelry for a certain body part that I did not want to show on my channel. And it was not something that I favorited, though I did favorite a necklace from that shop several weeks before. I'm sure that you're starting to understand now why it might become problematic to just change out the photos on listings that have sold out and you no longer have stock for. Every single item that someone has favorited is going to show up in their favorites. And if you just change your photos around, they might end up with something that they didn't favorite in their favorites, and this might make them upset. Now, do sellers still do this? Of course they do. People are gonna try to do whatever they can to make sales. But is it good practice? I think not. And take it from me, this is coming from someone who had to re-record like a 20-minute video just because I flashed something that shouldn't be flashed on the screen for the alphas. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. But you guys get the picture. So I hope that this answers your questions about relisting versus renewing versus switching out all of your photos on a other listing when a listing has sold out and you want to reuse that listing. Just create another listing. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It helps me a lot more than you know. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here because I have tons of Etsy related videos. Plus, we go live every single Friday to hang out with you and drink coffee together and answer your questions. Not only that, but I have some great links for you down below. I have my free 2020 marketing calendars that you can download, you can print, and you can follow so that you can get your marketing together for when things get crazy at the end of fall through the holiday shopping season. Not only that, but usually around summertime, Etsy sales tend to decrease a little as people spend more time in their yards and hanging out and mowing grass and playing with the kids than they do sitting on their computers. If you feel like you might be experiencing the summer stall, or if you're worried that you might experience the summer stall, we have my summer survival guide linked down below as well that you can download and print and learn how to really optimize your marketing during slower seasons. Also, one last thing, guys, if you would like me to coach you personally, my own Handmade Alpha Academy will be opening on June 14th. Now, as always, HAA is only open for a 10-day enrollment period, and we've got some information down below. Not only that, but there's a waiting list link that you are free to opt into. That does not obligate you to buy. However, what it does do is ensure that you get our Alpha community member discount when enrollment opens on June 14th. So look for that. Other than that, guys, I hope that everyone is staying safe and everyone is enjoying the warmer weather, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!